To its critics, the new Conservative government in Warsaw is transforming Poland into a nationalist, anti-Western country. A series of so-called reforms to the country's courts and media have even provoked an investigation by the EU. Here's Adam Fleming with more.
It seems like there's a protest in Poland pretty much every weekend. Last Saturday, it was about the government's plans to increase surveillance powers. The weekend before, it was about an overhaul of media regulations, which saw loads of staff at the state broadcaster being sacked. And before Christmas, protesters were hopping mad about changes to the Constitutional Court. It follows last year's elections, when the coalition led by the centrist Civic Platform was replaced by Law and Justice, right-wing, Eurosceptic and popular with Catholic voters in the countryside. The party's chaired by the former Prime Minister Jarosław Kawczynski, with the new PM Beata Szydło there to provide a friendly face. She was hauled to the European Parliament in Strasbourg last week to defend her reforms.
It's different reforms that many countries, many governments did or usually do when they get to power. But here they did it very quickly and many reforms at the same time, which gives the impression that this party is kind of taking a firmer grip on the institutions and the state than usually new government do.
The leader of Law and Justice's MEPs told me his party was just redressing the balance from the last government.
The European Union is facing challenges, right? Schengen, migration, Euro, Brexit, right? Greece. I mean, that really big issues. So I think that what majority should take decision in the Polish Constitutional Court, whether it's a simple majority or qualified majority, I mean, come on, this is not really a big thing for the European Union.
That's not how it's seen by officials at the European Commission, who are using new powers to investigate whether Poland is upholding the rule of law. The Poles could lose their voting rights at EU summits as a result. What about Britain? David Cameron's MEPs are allied with Law and Justice, and he's cozied up to the PM as part of his renegotiation. He needs her, but she's not signed up to his plans to limit benefits for EU migrants who come to the UK. Could that possibly be why we've just announced that we'll be sending 1,000 British troops to Poland to help them stand up to their friendly next-door neighbour, Russia?
Adam Fleming reporting. Well, we're joined now by the Conservative MP Daniel Kawczynski. He was born in Poland, and our guest of the day was a minister belonging to the party that was defeated by Law and Justice at last year's Polish elections. We can also welcome viewers in Scotland at this point. Welcome to you, Daniel, first of all. The government is accused of attempting a political takeover of the Constitutional Court in Poland. So no wonder the EU's investigating them.
Well, I think it's very important for politicians like myself to engage with the Polish diaspora here in the United Kingdom to hear their views. I mean, there are over 800,000 Poles living in the United Kingdom, and I've tried to engage with many of the Polish diaspora. I think their attitude is it's too early to assess this government, and they think that the Law and Justice Party is trying to recalibrate this court because previously it was very top-heavy in favour of Civic Platform, which we believe had 14 out of the 15 judges.
Right. I mean, Parliament's dismissed 5 elected judges. It's illegal.
Well, my understanding is they have actually referred themselves to the Council of Europe, and the Venice Commission is actually investigating this, and an outcome of their report will be published next month. So I'm very interested to know what the results of that will be, and I think at that juncture it will be appropriate to comment once we know what the Vienna Convention comes up with.
Radek Sikorski, isn't this just a redressing of the balance for the Law and Justice Party? They've got rid of, or are trying to get rid of, people who are their opponents. It was stacked with supporters of your government.
Well, Law and Justice won a democratic election with 38% of the vote. They have a 6-member majority in Parliament, and they are entitled to rule. What they are not entitled to do, in my view, is to change the rules. And in your previous item, we had the British system of judicial review of legislation. And in Poland, it's the Constitutional Court that does that. And of course, we were in power for 8 years, so a number of appointments came up, just as in the US Supreme Court. past majorities do matter.
And is this
But if you paralyze the Constitutional Court, then that's serious. Also, having a small majority doesn't entitle you, I think, in the British system, to purge all the managers and journalists of the BBC, or to change the rules of selection in the civil service and to politicize them. But I agree that the Venice Commission is the right body to pronounce on this, because the EU peer review process is a new one. It's untested.
Right. I mean, is this what's going on? Purging in the media, dismantling the civil service, challenging the rule of law in Poland? Is that what the government is doing there?
No, I mean, I think it's very important to recognise that this is the first time that any political party has received a majority of its own within the Polish Parliament. That's the first time this has happened since the fall of communism in 1989. And of course, the Law and Justice Party also have the presidency. So they won the presidency and then they won the parliamentary elections. So clearly, this is the first time that any political party is in a position to make more substantial constitutional changes simply because it's governing alone.
Are they, though, illegal and a challenge to democracy? I mean, the government has given itself the power to hire and fire the heads of public TV and radio. The Council of Europe has said that that new arrangement is wholly unacceptable in a genuine democracy.
I think, again, talking with the Polish diaspora here in London, I think there is a concern, or certainly what is being conveyed to me by members of the Polish diaspora, is that there is a concern about the sheer scale of foreign control of the Polish media, and there are real tensions and worries about that, and the Law and Justice Party is seeking to address that. But I go back, and I'm glad that Mr. Sikorski and I agree. These are very polarizing issues. We both want what's best for Poland, and if something is being done unconstitutional, then the Venice Convention will be able to adjudicate.
But you don't agree with the European Commission investigation, or the European Union investigating the country, and the Prime Minister being called to the EU to be given a dressing down?
Well, I also hear, again, from the Polish diaspora, there's a growing concern about some of the language being used by people like Martin Schulza, which is considered to be rather deflammatory and provocative towards Poland. Remember, this is a country that until recently had no freedom at all. And so when it comes to European institutions trying to dictate or challenge the will of a democratically elected government with a huge mandate from the Polish people, of course, issues of concern are raised.
Right, so should the EU just back off Poland and this new government? In fact, there were claims that she returned a hero.
Well,
or a heroine,
as I said, the mechanism has not been tested before and was adopted when doubts arose as to similar actions by the government of Hungary. But we are a family of democratic nations, and I think peer review is a mechanism that we use in the Eurozone, for example. We look at one another's budgets, and we are entitled to look at one another's institutions and behavior. And maintaining democratic standards is a very important part of what it means to be a member of the European Union.
Can I ask about something else? Is it fair that Poland has used the UK's EU renegotiation as leverage for UK troops to come to Poland to beef up the military presence there and deter Russian aggression?
Well, that's something I challenged the Prime Minister on the floor of the House a few weeks ago. I'm obviously very pro-supporting Poland, being the only British member of Parliament born in Poland. But I challenged the Prime Minister on this issue because it's very, very worrying for me if Poland is trying to conflate its security issues with our own renegotiation attempts with the European Union. And much as I understand their wish and desire to have a permanent NATO base east of Warsaw in order to show the Russians that we are serious about protecting Poland in the event of an attack, I don't believe these issues should be conflated. That's something for adjudication and discussion within NATO, rather than dragging that into the renegotiation attempts within the European Union. And I've said that very strongly to the Prime Minister.
Daniel Kawczynski, thank you.
Thank you.